And then we were having a conversation because just alcohol intake came up, how to manage alcohol intake. She said, like, what you just told me, I think you should talk about it in your podcast. I was like, all right, let's talk about it. I'll find a way to make it fit. And I thought that was actually a good point to bring it in. And so the idea, it was basically about how it interferes with weight loss goals, right? So when somebody's on a weight loss goal, like I always say to people, is you want to have you still want to be able to have a sustainable lifestyle, you still want to enjoy your lifestyle, right? It's not about like complete restriction where, some people want to blow their brains out by doing that. So I say to them, look, you have to make it fit. But if the particular goal is weight loss, then you got to make sure that regardless of what you're eating, you're in a calorie deficit, right? So your energy out, your expenditure, your activity levels, your basic day to day is the energy that you spend on that is going to be greater than the energy that you intake through food, through drink. And so with alcohol, first of all, it has like 7 calories per gram of alcohol, and then some, because of like, depending on the kind of drink that you're having, there could be more sugary as well. So there's going to be some carbohydrates in that too. To put that into perspective, protein and carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram, and fat has 9 calories per gram. So alcohol is closer to fat in calorie intake than it is to the others. And not just that, there's no nutrition in alcohol as well. So you're consuming empty calories, so your body still is craving nourishment, so it will still tell you to eat food and eat more than you normally would if you're consuming alcohol, because those calories don't really do anything for you. So that's one way that interferes with your weight loss goal, is just without realizing it, you're consuming way more calories than you otherwise would. Then so that's why you've got to be super mindful of what you're drinking, how much of it you're drinking, so that it still keeps you in a calorie deficit overall. Then the other thing is alcohol interferes with fat metabolism, right? So your ability to use fat as a fuel, and it's with alcohol, which is ethanol, is quite toxic for the body, right? So anytime you ingest alcohol, your body and your liver just goes, hey, I don't like that being here. I'm going to preferentially use that to try and metabolize that so that I can get it out of the system as quickly as possible. And so when you're doing that, you're not going to be using any other fuel source within the body. And if you're having excess alcohol regularly, that's what creates fatty liver syndrome, which is fat depositing itself on the livers. And because you're just not using fat, your liver is not metabolizing fat. It's not using it it's not breaking it down so that your body can use it. So, and it's been shown, like even like in just regular amounts of alcohol as well, you're impairing your body's ability to metabolize fat. So that's another way where it's going to impair it holds you back in your weight loss goal. So especially if you end up consuming more than what keeps you into a calorie deficit, because it makes it a hell of a lot easier to put weight on. And so that was a couple of things we talked about, and she was like, that was something that I feel like more people could do with hearing, how the empty calories end up helping you put on weight if you are unable to maintain a calorie deficit while drinking alcohol, and how it impairs your fat metabolism. And on top of that, it's also interferes with like all the cells, like the so-called battery, the mitochondrial cells, where if there's excess alcohol in the system, then they don't create energy as efficiently as well. So if they're not creating energy, so even though your metabolism goes up because you're trying to get rid of alcohol from your body, you're not actually, it's kind of like it's not doing anything useful. It's the only useful thing it's doing is getting rid of alcohol from your body. So but otherwise in other cells in your body, it's impairing their ability to process exactly and create fuel for you. So again, that's another way that's interfering with that. And then another way that it can interfere with it is because inhibitions are reduced as well. And with alcohol intake, it can put you into a hypoglycemic state, i.e. it reduces your blood sugar levels. So your body and your brain just go, I need food, otherwise I'm going to go into hypoglycemic shock. So it makes you want to eat more as well. So by reducing your inhibitions, you lose discipline, and then so you will consume more calories without actually really thinking that you consume more calories. And because it puts you in a hypoglycemic state as well, your body's just like, give me food, give me food, give me food. So again,
Sugar, right?
you wolf stuff down. Exactly, yeah. So like especially like more sugar, and you'll want to consume that more. So that's another way that it does it. And then finally, I mean, I could carry on, but there's with
Preach.
sleep. Yeah, exactly. Preach, brother. There's the sleep as well. So it hands down, pretty much without fail, affects your restorative sleep, almost regardless of the amount of alcohol that you're having, especially the closer to bedtime that you have it. So restorative sleep is where your body does its repair processing. So if you're mentally and physically as well. So you have alcohol, your body doesn't get into that restoration stage of sleep as well as it normally would. You're constantly in a light stage of sleep, so you are not you're not getting your recovery in. And when that happens, it also interferes with your body's hormonal processes, which tell you, in this specific instance, how hungry you actually are and whether you're satiated. So it will increase the hormones which tell you that you're hungry, or push it out, and then you will eat more when you're in a sleep deprived state. And when you're in a sleep deprived state, you have less movement during the course of your day than you otherwise normally do, because your body just wants to conserve a bit of energy. So there's less movement going on, and you're going to be eating more. So those are other ways that those are a lot of the ways that it affects your ability to achieve your goal on your fat loss journey. And so you have to be very, very mindful of your alcohol intake.
Bro, you smashed that out of the park big time. That was really good. Some
Like, man.
reeling off some decent facts there, man.
Yeah, cheers, man. I mean, like, actually, from your point of view, I want to ask you about that as well. How do you help clients handle their alcohol intake? Like, what's the levels of advice you give them on that?
I want to be totally honest. I don't really tolerate it.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I'm
Okay.
not. I'm not. I'm not. It's. I love the way you broke it down, because I don't know those facts. I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna rethink about those facts. The way I broke it down, I've used the calorie one in the past, in the sense that if you're spending some of your allotted money of the day and you're just throwing it away, you can't recover. You won't recover, because you need those carbs to come back for the workout tomorrow. You need those proteins to build the muscles, so you can get the tissue on your frame, so you can achieve the goal you want to have. You literally cannot afford to spend these calories in other ways. Like, this meal plan doesn't have alcohol on it for a reason. And it's like, not that I expect you to go to a cold turkey, but the conversation I have with clients pretty early on is that the perception of a bad diet is, in my estimation, a terrible diet. You know what I mean? So what I mean by that is, like, somebody will come in and be like, "Oh, my diet's okay. It's not too good, but it's okay." But in reality, it's terrible. It's really bad. Like, it's probably got about 50 grams of protein for the entire day. Probably has around about 30 grams of 30 grams of fat, and it probably has about a shit ton of carbohydrates, and then carbs from terrible sources, loaded full of sodium, loaded full of hardly any water in there, and really trying to go from that fuel source to then getting this person to train, or even get this person again to be coherent in a conversation, with the
Sure.
lack of sleep, with the lack of movement, and then tying into the fact that their body is currently running off this just crap fuel. You've got no go juice in you. You've got zero. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So, like, and it's just, the vitality isn't there, the calories aren't there, the sleep recuperation isn't there, the feel good factor of eating a big salad and having good digestion isn't there. So you're so many marks away from where you actually need to be, that quite quickly, like, I had a client come in actually on Saturday, and he told me about how he drinks every night, and it's like a nightly thing for him. He's from similar culture to where, similar background culture to where we're from, but it's just it's like an institution in his house, that at a certain time of night he's drinking, and then he's going to eat, but within 20 minutes he'll be in bed. And he went on to say that, "I haven't slept in about 20 years." And I'm like,
Whoa.
dude, I legit told him, I was like, this lifestyle will kill you. I just said to him straight, I was like, you will die thinking that you're living a life that you maybe you enjoy, but your habits will kill you. And
Yes.
it really opened his eyes, because I don't know. I said to him at the start, I said, "Look, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to tell you straight. We'll be friendly, we'll be cordial with each other, but if there's something that you're doing that is massively, massively impacting your health, it is my duty of care to tell you. And this
100%.
habit that you have right now will put you in the ground, right? And
Mm.
that, if you want that for your life, like I think he was, I've looked at my notes. I think he was 62, and relatively in shape, like training, but Telly was finding a hard go of it. Didn't really have much of an idea on the gym floor, but he was still present. You know, I mean, that was the best thing about him, is that he had his duties to do outside the gym with the stuff at home. But I think as a result of the stresses he's dealing with, he's coping with it by doing this. And I showed him the whole process. I showed him, look, you'll receive a meal plan similar to this. You'll receive a tracking process similar to this. Obviously, I'll walk you through a training program. We'll train 3 to 4 times a week, depending on your goals. And I was like, well, we have to address this, because this is a big, big, big hindrance to you investing time and money with me. And you simply will not achieve what you want to achieve with this level of alcohol intake. And
Yeah,
it
man.
kind of goes back to what I was saying, with people thinking that what you're doing is okay, but really it's terrible. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the perception shift that I want to create in a lot of my clients, and I have managed to create in a lot of my clients, is that this stuff, whether it be alcohol, whether it be a birthday cake, whether it be anything sweet, indulgent, whether it be a restaurant meal, is a once a month thing. It's a
Mm.
once a month thing where we're going to enjoy this, we're going to look forward to this, but the rest of the 30 odd days, we're on point. Like, we are on point. Like this, if you want this, here is the plan. But
Mm.
don't tell me that you're adding to this plan with all these extra calories, which I then have, like the way I defined it to him yesterday, was like a secondary spend. It's like you go into Asda, and they put the sweets by the counter because they know you're going, oh, it's 25 pence, I'll pick it up. And
Yeah.
it's a cutesy way of kind of wrapping it up nicely for you. What you said about how it alcohol lowers, well, it actually makes that shift into hypoglycemia.
Mm.
You're then more prone to the secondary spend, which is a bag of quavers and a Yorkie bar, and then that leads on to the next thing, and then the
Mm.
wrapper is, oh, I want another thing, and I want a doner kebab, and I want this, and before you know it, it's 3,000 calories deep, and it's now 9
Yeah.
p.m. and you got to go to bed, right?
Yep.
It's as much as we can. I think that stuff needs to just be shifted, man, because it
Mm.
just doesn't serve us. Like you just said yourself, like ethanol, putting that in the body. It's go and put diesel in your petrol car, see how far you get down the road.
Yeah.
It's like no, man, you ain't got a chance. You ain't got a chance. And then that's what people are doing to themselves daily, and then coming to a health professional and saying, well, this is kind of what I want to do. I understand that it's habit,
Mm.
but habits had its day. We need to go.
Yes.
It needs to get checked. You know what I mean? And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of that's my stance on it. I'm quite strong on that stuff with clients, because again, like, I feel it's a duty of care. I wouldn't let you do a
Mm.
bad split squat. I wouldn't let you do a kettlebell overhead press with terrible technique to the point where it could come back and smack you in the head.
Mm.
So I cannot not address this with real passion and real kind of conviction, because I know it's literally going to put you in the ground.